Hi everyone, happy Sunday. So I wanted to do a special flip through of this book. Been a little different experience with this one than my normal purchases. So Melissa from Far Out Color contacted me and asked if I would like an early release of this book, which is their republished second version of this book before it's fully released. And no strings attached. She didn't ask me to do a flip through. She didn't ask me to do anything other than she just wanted to be nice and send me a copy. And I agreed to that because if you've been here for a while, you know how much I love space-related stuff. And after looking at some other videos of the previous version, I was interested because this seems to be a little different. So I received this and I like it so much that I do want to give it a try and do a flip through, and then I would also like to color in it and see how it performs, because like I said, it is made a little differently than most of the coloring books I see, which is always interesting to me. So right now I believe this is backed by a, what's it called, backer kit campaign, and you can go on there and purchase the book that way once it's officially released. And then as it becomes available through other means or in other ways, I will update. I can maybe update via community, but I'll have it in the description below where it'll be available. And so there's that. But I'm going to try to do this with just one hand because my other hand is holding a cat. And you can see my cat hair covered shirt for obvious reasons. Since that no, you've committed to the bit now, buddy. But hang on just a second. Now I got a text. Alright, that was a text from the vet, which I might talk about. So my plan is to try to at least do a little bit of coloring on one of these pages. Reap Sheep's getting mad because he's trying to keep me from doing a video, and I'm doing it in spite of him, and now he's mad and he wants to stomp off. But oh gosh. Anyway, sorry. Everything went chaotic there. And I am feeling rather lazy today, so I'm not going to redo that intro. Anyway, I'll talk at the end. If I do a little coloring, I'll might update y'all a little bit. It'll be kind of like a mini coloring chat. I don't know if I'll do a whole page or just part of a page, but we're going to try at least flip to this one-handed. So with this, I received this, which I believe are, what in the world is in here? I think there's some holographic stickers in here. I'm going to do this with one hand. Sure you will, Michelle. So like there's some cool little holographic stickers. I need to find something to do with stickers that might be for my planner. And then there's this, which it looks like a zine. Like maybe a, is this something that will be continuously published? Very interesting design. Whoop. So I guess you can glue that together, or not glue it, but so you get like some little scenes to color. Whoop. Couple more there. Reap Sheep's really just gonna make this as hard as possible. That must be for something. There's a QR code, so And then this is, I want to make sure there is a note on the other side, and I didn't really want to show that because it's personalized, but I got this, launching soon. Okay, so it is a backer kit. situation, and there's the QR code for it. I don't know if that'll work, but like if I zoom in on that, no, it looks pretty blurry. I was hoping maybe I could zoom on it and then you could try scanning it, but I don't know if that's going to work. Oh well, I tried. Anyway, I got a little note about it. Whoops. Make sure there wasn't anything in here I needed to share. Oh yeah, QR code. There we go. Alright, so I'll try to share the QR code at the end. I'm hoping he gets stubborn and stomps off here soon. But he is purring. I don't know if you can hear it, but this was supposed to be a whole lot more slick than this. Alright, so this is not Amazon printed. It is very thick cardstock with kind of a glossy sheen on the paper. Oh, there he goes. He has had enough of my nonsense. Okay, hang on. Okay, he has stomped off. I figured he was going to sit there and just have his fur right on the camera. So, yeah, so like a glossy sheen to this paper. This will be interesting when it comes to what type of mediums to use. And so this will be interesting to test. So the concept of this, what I find so unique, is there are, I think, 54 unique illustrations, and each page is a double-sided page. However, one side has black backing in a lot of the areas, and then the other side is all white space. So you can, if you want to use alcohol, you can color both images if you want to use pencil or something that's not going to bleed through. If you want to use alcohol marker, you can pick like which side you want to color. So it's double-sided, but double-sided I think in the best way possible, where if you only want to color one version of the image, you can. Like if I was going to get it's fewer illustrations, but like if it's cool in a, like in a situation, I'm saying like a lot, in a situation like this, having the black backing on one side and then all white space on the other, I can pick which one I want and not to worry too much about the other side of the page. Plus, I don't know what it'll look like when it comes through to the other side, so that'll be interesting. So they have tips and tricks. You can do a lot of things with these too. Obviously, you can cut them out, use them for like junk journals. You could use them for collage. You could do different, there's all kinds of different things you can do with this. So it's not necessarily just a coloring book, but here is a page if you want to do some testing, because the other page is just tips and tricks. So if you do want to test here to see how it will go through, you can certainly do that. There's some places you can test like some blends. You can also put two colors next to each other to see if they're complementary, or you could do different things with these, however you like. And then there is a blotter shield that's detachable that you can use behind your pages, which we're actually going to take out right now. Now, how easy is this actually come out? Sometimes it looks like it's perforated. Yep, that did pretty good. So there's that. And then the images themselves, let me back up. So on one side you will have all white space, no black backing, and then on the other side you will have some black backing. And that's how this runs. And I love the imagery. Love it. This is kind of a space fantasy element. This is my jam. Like, this was what really drew me to this book, is the imagery is just beautiful. And I love black backgrounds. So like, this is a book that I feel like can appeal to anybody that likes, space related things, because you have one side that doesn't have any black background, so you can do however you want with it. And then the other side, if you do like black backgrounds, it's, you know, kind of something for everyone, which I really love. Very abstract feel to it in some of these, which is not always my jam, but there's enough in here that's not as abstract that I feel like it's just a nice mix. Plus, sometimes, I don't know, sometimes I want to color and I don't really have a specific thing in mind, but like I just want to use colors or patterns. And like this would be a good page to play around with patterns. It's funny to hear me say that, I know, because when I first started coloring, a lot of things came with Zentangle, or I like calling it Zendoodle, but where there would just be all these different patterns and these lines already drawn in by the artist. And while it looked stunning, it would stress me out a lot when I was coloring. And so I gravitated towards books that don't have as much of that. And that's kind of fallen out of trend now. But there are times that I would like to put patterns in there myself and like have the flexibility and the space to do so. And so I feel like this book kind of gives you, it gives you, the picture would be stunning if you just colored it as is, but if you want to add your own element to it, there's plenty of opportunity. So I think on Lavelia's coloring, I'm going to post a couple more reviews in the description. I know some other people received this. I'm going to put a couple of other reviews in the description because I feel like, you know, sometimes you want more than one person's perspective. But I think Lavelia did this page in the first version of this book. So this is the second publishing. The first one sold like about 2,000 copies. They made some changes to the format of the book. They updated some of the imagery, and then they are launching the second version. So very like spacey, out there, abstract elements to this. I love this though with the desert landscape too. So it is a bit unique. Like, I know this may not be to everyone's taste, but this is definitely something in my collection that is extremely unique. I love the layout of the black back pages and the white space pages. I still feel like 54 illustrations is plenty. Like, I don't feel like you're getting shortchanged on the number of images in the book to color. I really like this, not Amazon printed. I will be curious to see how this paper does with marker, because sometimes cardstocky paper can be weird with markers and make them a bit streaky. But this, you know, has a space element to it, space fantasy. Oh boy. I messed up. Alright, y'all may have to give me a second. My cat is very disappointed. Oh, he's on the other side of the door. Never mind. He's on the other side of the door. I thought he was on this side. Okay. Brent took care of him. Now he's just going to sit there and meow out the door. So like, yeah, sometimes this type of paper can be a little weird with markers, so that's one of the reasons I want to test it out. These are also all perforated like that blotter page, so that you can take them out if you like. I was kind of looking, I like the fact that if the art goes, because they're perforated, like you don't have to necessarily go all the way into the crease, but like not, the art doesn't, mostly does not go into the crease, which I really like personally, because that's where I have my most trouble, is trying to color in the crease. But yeah, like I said, this is very different from other books that I have in layout and design, in theme. And while it does, like I said, have kind of an abstract feel to it, which isn't usually my thing, it has enough like basic elements in it too that it's not too far off. I also find that my tastes tend to change. Like, one year I'll really be in the mood for one type of picture or one type of artist, maybe more so, and then other times I'm drawn to stuff that I wouldn't have had any interest in like 3 or 4 years ago. So the paper feels great. Like, very pleased with the paper. Now me, I'm probably going to stick mostly with the black backgrounds. Like here, that definitely, I would much rather do that. Now, I'll probably, out of curiosity, pick one to do all the white space on just to see how it does. But for the most part, you're going to see me color the black background part if I'm coloring in this. So this makes me think of Space Oddity as I'm flipping through this. This is going to be like a thank you page. And then the team itself, which includes Melissa, who's the designer and the creator. Then we have the editor and we have the illustrator. So it's a team. It's I don't know how to explain it. I mean, you still have an artist, but it's still like a team of people involved in this. Kind of like the Mademoiselle's cat book that I have. It's a team of people, including like the editor and the illustrator and everything. So anyway, very interesting book. I am going to pick a page and we're going to color a little bit in it, probably just using marker today, and then maybe I can do one later on where I'm adding in some pencils. So give me just a moment to switch over to all that. Okay, so I figured we would go simple today. I am just going to work on the front page, and we are going to use the same color scheme that's on the cover. Mostly because I am not feeling my best today, and I want to give this a fair shake, and I'm really not picking a lot of colors today. Not in the mood to pick a lot of colors today. So what I did is I pulled that blotter page and I put it back behind this one, and we're going to use this one that of course has the black backing, and then I pulled the colors that most closely represent the front cover, and I've pulled a variety of Ohuhu and Copic sketch. So generally with some cardstocky type images, like thicker paper, the Zendoodle books in particular is one of them. Sometimes more expensive markers that have a more regulated flow of ink can be a bit streaky on those types of papers. They can act a little weird. Generally markers like permanent markers or Ohuhu markers, or something that has a little bit more flow of ink, like the cheaper markers, do better on those pages. It's just a weird quirk I've found over the years. So I want to test both on this paper just to see how it's going to do. And then we can see what it does to the other side too. So I can do this while I kind of chat and tell you guys what's what. If you don't want to stay for this portion, it's fine. I completely understand. But just wanted to test this out. And like I said, at some point, obviously, I want to do a color and chat in this book with, or demo with other materials other than marker. But for right now, we're just doing this basic test. So All right, because I just can't think that much while I'm trying to talk live and do this. So if I do this a little bit out of order. All right, so initial thoughts, just laying this down. It feels really nice, like it is not being absorbed into the paper like Amazon paper. However, it is streaking a little bit, and that's, like I said, what I find with paper where the ink is not blending, like soaking into the paper as much. You tend to get a little bit of a not as smooth of a finish, and you tend to have to go over more because it's granted not soaking up the marker, so you're using less marker, but it's also creating a surface that color can move around on more. So things like watercolor, probably, and then stuff like marker may give you just a little bit of a streakier finish, like you can kind of see here. There's nothing wrong with that. And now I'm curious to see what happens if I go over that again and just leave it, and let's see what it does. So this is the Ohuhu brush tips. So things have just been kind of wilding since forever, but in particular for the first few weeks of the month. I mean, let's put aside all that's been going on in the world. We actually just got some snow. Thankfully, I don't think we got as much as they were predicting, but it's still enough to just about cover the grass, which we're getting maybe about one of those a year. So that's nice. So I went back over that one section and I didn't really, go over it again in a whole other layer, and it seems like it's blending in. You can tell a slight difference, but it's not super obvious. So this might prove well to blend on with markers. Might be something, maybe we delve a bit away and test that. Might test it with a purple, I think. Yeah, let's test it with the purple. So, thankfully, like I said, we got some weather, but some snow, but not a ton. I'll let you know if I'm using a different type of marker, but I think the yellow is going to be a Copic. Now this red's going down nice. This could also depend on like the newness of your marker and how often you use it. That green I use a lot. This I think this is cherry pink. I don't use this as often, and this is going down no problem. Smooth as silk, honestly. So if you love to blend with markers, this might be a possibility. A great way to do that on the actual page instead of having to like print out your own version on marker paper. See, while having it sit on the surface can make it a little harder to get a solid color, it also helps benefit if you're trying to blend. So it's kind of a pro-con thing there, like on what you want to do. All right, so this is a Copic sketch in yellow. Let me actually grab this paper here. Yeah, there should be plenty of ink in here. We should be fine. Let me see how this does. Yellow probably wasn't a good one, but I did grab a couple others, so because yellow is kind of light anyway, so it's a little hard to tell if it streaks or not. This would also be probably a good book to use your fancier markers on because it's not soaking up as much ink. But no, we're inside staying warm. Everything seems to be going well with that. We're back to a hoo-hoo. I think I picked a darker blue and I meant to, but That's fine. Um, Cats. Winry is actually doing really well. She started having some episodes where she was spacing out a lot after we gave her fluids, particularly at night. And so we had been giving them to her. We had gotten down to once a day at night, just giving her like 30 or 40 milliliters, like a very small amount. But even that seemed to make her space out. And so I told the vet, I'm like, she may be getting enough water on her own, and like the fluids were over saturating her system. And so we went down to, she originally said 3 times a week, but honestly, we've been doing 1 or 2, and she is doing great. She actually has put on a little bit of weight the last few weeks, and she seems to be feeling really good. So, very good call. I'm glad we did that. And let me look here. And so she, thankfully, now I don't know. I said there's also a possibility that like her kidneys are continuing to decrease function, and like having even just a little bit extra fluid in her system is just overloading them. I mean, fluids are supposed to help with late stage kidney disease, but they might also hinder. I don't know. She does need a senior wellness, which she's going to go in for either end of this month or beginning of next month. So we're hopefully, if we can get a blood draw out of her, get a good look at what her kidney condition is, because we haven't really been able to see since she had that UTI back in September. That was the last time we really had a look at her kidneys. And at the time, even though she had the UTI, they were still showing us stable. So, but it was right after that UTI that she started getting really sick. So I don't know. I'm trying not to think too hard about it or get potentially upset if that doesn't turn out well. So sorry. I'm just sitting here trying to think of how I want to. We could do violet and then lavender. Or we could do that. 17, 15, and 12. Alright. 17, 15, 12. Alright, so we're going to try a 3-color blend. It's probably not going to be super seamless. I'm going to try it with the Copics. But we're going to see how this does. Yeah, like I said, this is kind of a scattered color and chat because I'm trying to demo this and give y'all updates. But no, she's been doing really well. The heating little pet beds that can plug in and heat up, I've been turning those on the last few days, and she is living her best life on those. She has been a lot colder due to just old age and her, she's old. She's like 18 and some change, probably. Either 18 and a half or 17 and a half. And, so she does tend to get cold. And I'm hot-natured, so I don't keep the thermostat quite at the level that she likes. But those pet beds, man, she is living her best life on that. Bagheera seems to be doing pretty well in spite of his health issues. He's still, I think having some muscle weakness and deterioration due to the Cushing's, but we've been able to handle it, and the thyroid food, if I can get it in him, does seem to help him help stabilize his weight. So it's changing his thyroid numbers just enough, so he's probably still got a high thyroid. Now see, that's not like a perfect blend there, but I'm also doing a bigger area than I normally would if I was blending, but what was I going to say? Actually, I should probably give a second to dry, and then I'm going to go back over both sides with the light color for all the sections. He's doing alright. Reap Sheep's doing alright. BMO is being crazy. She is smart enough to realize that her problem is she wants to play, and like she tends to want to play by herself unless it's like a laser toy or something. And then once she figured out that I could run the laser toy for her, now she wants me to interact, like while I'm trying to work during the day, she is coming in here and following me around the house and rubbing against my legs and just staring at me like, ma'am, where is my laser? So we've been taking 15 to 30 minutes each day, and I've been going over running the laser light over the floor, and she seems real happy about that. She's smart, I'll give her that. She's also, I gotta get some video of it. I've got a shelf that has some of my woobles on it, and it's right next to the cat tree, and of course none of the other cats mess with it, but she gets up there, and when she's feeling particularly spicy, she will just knock them off. And so it's become like a game. Like, I don't care. Me and her are having fun. So, it blended okay. I think definitely better than on Amazon paper, but not as well as I thought it would on this paper. So, I have to play around with that a bit more, and that's with the Copics. So, I guess I could try a blend with the Ohuhus, maybe. Let's go ahead and do this part. And I'm going back to the Copics for this section. Like I said, it's not streaky at all. Or not really streaky like it was on some of the other cardstock paper with the Copic markers. So, or the Ohuhus. Unless, of course, your marker's running a little dry like mine have been, like some of mine that I use a lot do. But no, they're doing great. The problem child right now is Leroy. Back when Winry was having so much trouble, like every couple days she would stop eating what I was feeding her, and I would have to find something else to put down for her to eat, and that included dry food and wet food. I mean, at one point we had like 5 different types of dry food in the house for her. I think that's where the problem started. Leroy's stomach has always been, he's a hefty boy at 17 pounds, and you look at him and you think, oh yeah, that he doesn't have any problems eating, but he does. His stomach's real fragile and sensitive, as is he is a very fragile and sensitive boy, and I love him. He's my boy, but he is a very fragile baby, and if he eats something, like one day it might be fine, the next day it might make him sick, like make him throw up, might make him have litter box issues, and he so when I was feeding her, there were some foods, and he doesn't normally eat a lot of different varieties of wet food. He only has like a handful that he normally eats. But when I was trying a bunch of new things with her, particularly the dry food, he got really drawn to it because it was something new and different. And I think like it took his already fragile system. I could probably do a blue blend here. What did I grab up there? That was like a Napoleon blue, and that was not what I meant to get earlier. We could do 8 BO70 and PB7. Okay, hang on, let me go into my Ohuhus here. 8, 7, BO70, which is what I thought I grabbed, and evidently I did not. So we're going to do that down here. There we go. So we're going to try an Ohuhu blend here with a set of 3. And I'm going to see how this does. Alright. Alright. So I'm going to start with the dark and go to the light. It might be blend better since we're just doing this kind of. Now granted, it's been a hot minute since I've tried to blend markers, so I can't say I'm a genius at it. I'm kind of out of practice myself. Yeah. Okay. Yep, that's a little better. It's a more gradual blend, so I think it worked a lot better. I think with some practice and obviously somebody that blends a lot more than I do, this is pretty blendable paper. Let's do the other side. But anyway, I think having all the different types of food like really upset his gut. And so he's been having increasing problems. And so I took him to the vet and she like tested him and stuff and she said it's probably just like a gut imbalance or whatever. And I think, yeah, that blended really well. So these are closer to each other. This is, if you're wondering, Cerulean Blue PB8, BO70 Tahitian Blue, and then PB7 Pastel Blue in the Ohuhu markers. So if you're wondering what that blend is. I think I'm just going to do the individual solid colors here, though. Oh, actually, I know what I'm going to do. But, so we got some Pro-Viable paste and the little capsules to see if we could kind of get his stomach settled. And so since then, he'll do better. He'll gradually get better. And then, he'll have another day or two where he is just barfy, horrible stench from the litter box type of thing. And that's what he's been doing, just kind of on and off. And I've been trying to manage it as best I can, and then finally had to message the vet today and was just like, because he had a really bad episode yesterday. Because what was weird is like, even the food that he has normally eaten in the past, like part of his only few foods that he'll eat, were upsetting his stomach too, which is very unusual. So I finally had to message the vet and just say, I'm kind of out of ideas right now. I don't know what to do. I don't want him to be miserable. And like today I had to give him a shot of Zofran. Because he just looked so pitiful this morning. And giving him a shot is very difficult because he is very spicy. But I knew he felt bad because I was able to give him the shot without him bucking like a bronco. And I mean, he squawked and he shuffled around, but like the fact that I was able to actually give him the shot was a sign that he must be feeling really bad. So he did perk up a little bit after that and ate, but he's just been sleeping a lot. And so she said let her know Monday how he's doing. We're doing another round of Pro-Viable paste, and I am taking up all the unique foods that he had. Basically, I'm trying to help him reset to the way he was before when Ray's stuff started, which is tricky because now that she's eating, I have to try to keep out her stuff that she'll eat, but keep it away from him. And that is not going well. I know they make those little feeding stations that are controlled by like microchips or something, or like you chip your cat and then it only opens to your cat. However, she is very timid, and those are like $200, And I'm not going to spend $200 on something that I am fairly confident she will not use because she's timid, and even if it doesn't make any noise, the movement of it's going to scare her. And so I don't think she'll eat out of it. So it is stressful. I think we're going to order the gastrointestinal biome dry food and see if he will eat that. A lot of it's just if, right? Like, is he going to eat it? Is he not going to eat it? And that's a food that I'm hoping not just him, but the other cats will also eat. Because again, it is very difficult to have one food that only one of them can eat. There's a cat at a local rescue that I would have loved to adopt, and I get torn thinking about it all the time. Because I'd like to adopt her, but the problem is she has really severe allergies and she has to be on a specific food and she can't like eat anything else, and I can't have a cat like that right now. Obviously if that happened to one of my cats right now, I'd have to do something to make that happen. I obviously wouldn't be rehoming a cat or anything, but like I can't bring a cat in this house knowing it's like that with the current level of issues that I have. Like, if Winry moves on at some point and a couple other things change, maybe, but like right now I just can't do it. So food is the number one stressor in this house when it comes to cats. Either they're not eating, or they're eating and they're getting sick, or they're eating the foods they're not supposed to eat. It's just, that's like our number one, my number one stressor. And so yeah, the markers are going down really well. I'm actually quite pleased. I was a bit nervous that they would be streaky, and so far, with the exception of that green, and like I said, that might be running a bit dry, and once it dried, it's smooth. I didn't even have to go back over here, and like you can't even barely see where I went over the second time. So so we're gonna try that with him. So if you kind of keep your fingers crossed. My poor little boy, it's like he's so fat, and you look at him and I don't, and I mean, he's not fat, he's overweight, probably obese. And again, we are aware of that, and I am trying to remedy that, but I don't want to remedy it by the fact that he's constantly getting sick from food, and that's why he's dropping weight. Like, I have to give free access to food because of Winry. If it wasn't for Winry, we could probably just regulate their food more during the day and this and that. Well, actually, Winry and Bagheera to a point. So I just look at it as one of those things we have to do, and obviously I want her around as long as possible. It is not... I will find a way to make it work, and we will get this worked out. It's just going to take some time. So that's all. So yeah, that's what's going on with them. With me, I am continuing to see my... I need to find out if she prefers to be called a nutritionist or a dietitian. I think they prefer to be called dietitians if they have like official licensing, but I just, obviously don't want to offend her in any way. And, oh, I need some grays too. We'll worry about that in a minute. Purples, I'm just going to go with the middle purple on these. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm continuing to meet with her. Mostly we're focusing on my gastroparesis and diet changes to try to limit the impact that has on my system. So I'm trying to stay away from raw fruits and vegetables or just have them occasionally. Nothing super high in fat or fiber. It's like the opposite of what everybody should, what a normal healthy diet is supposed to be, which is troublesome for me. You would look at me and think I'm not a raw fruit or vegetables fan, but I am very much so. So that's been hard. I've had to find ways to get that kind of, most of the food that I eat has to be softened. So like broccoli, she said if you boil the raw vegetables, it takes some of the fiber out of them. It's steaming does help, but it doesn't remove the fiber. Um, so like pre-boiling or para-boiling, whatever you call it, raw vegetables like broccoli and carrots and peppers and stuff is the preferred way for me to eat vegetables that aren't cooked thoroughly otherwise, like in a crock pot or boiled potatoes like that. Um, Steamed is okay. It's not the best choice, but like it's all right. It's better than raw veggies, and then raw veggies, of course, are the hardest thing to for my stomach to handle, and raw fruits. So that has kind of sucked. I've really been enjoying the fact that like I can have like mashed potatoes um, and veggies, like canned veggies that way. I've been kind of doing like like a little mock-up of a KFC bowl deconstructed with like canned chicken and um, if we have macaroni and cheese, but sometimes I'll just do some instant mashed potatoes. And then corn's okay. I don't seem to have a problem with corn, thank goodness. But like canned corn or beans or something, a little bit of shredded cheese and like some light ranch dressing. Like that's been kind of like a comfort food for me. Um, so it's been okay, but I've had to find other ways to get that kind of crunch. There was one week where I was like, I have to eat an apple. I have to eat an apple. I want something that actually crunches when I eat it. And so I should have taken the skin off of it at least, but I didn't, which was, I mean, it was one apple, it was fine, but like if I was going to do that on the regular, I would probably need to at least take the skin off. But like I've been taking burritos and making like flat soft burritos and making chips out of them in the air fryer to eat with like some of our like burrito mix and stuff to make nachos just because I want that crunch. Um, been trying to eat at least 3 times a day. That seems to be the best I can do most days. If you include snacks, I can probably do 4 times, but really I should be eating like 4 to 6 times a day in small meals. That's been a challenge. That Ninja Creamy thing I bought though, that has been such a lifesaver. I look so forward to that every day. My favorite thing to do is, well, my husband makes them for me, but I use frozen strawberries. Cherries are my favorite, but I live in an area where frozen cherries aren't easily available. You have to drive an hour to get to a place that has them. My favorites are cherries, frozen cherries or strawberries blended with Seek protein powder. There's a fruit punch flavor that goes really well with both of those, kind of that tartness. And or you could just use like any type of fruit flavored or light flavored protein powder like that. Actually, Seek's out of stock on a bunch of the protein powders that I like of theirs, including the fruit punch. So I'm trying the Isopure plain, which is not good on its own, but it is like something you could easily add to things that are flavored and still get protein. Because the one thing is, it's not just the gastroparesis, but the fact that I am borderline, if not fully type 2 diabetic. I've been pre-diabetic for a long time because of my insulin resistance. And she said, if you are going, fruit's fine. And she's like, but if you're going to eat something like that, or like a light carb, like a mashed potato or something, or, bread, pair it with a protein, pair it with a fat, so that your blood sugar doesn't spike as much. And um, that's been working well. That's why I add the protein powder to the strawberries. And then you put a little bit of water in there, just the strawberries, protein powder, and a little bit of water. Blend it, and then put it through the creamy as a sorbet. And let it freeze overnight. Definitely, if you blend it just a couple hours after freezing, it gets really light and fluffy, almost like an actual sorbet or sherbet, but it's very airy, and I don't know if I necessarily like that. But I usually wait overnight and then blend it, and then it's kind of like a sorbet. And I put in I love the Libby's sugar-free chocolate chips in there. Y'all, I've talked on here before that I am like, my dietary preferences are similar to like a kid. Like, I love very sugary things like marshmallow kids cereal, cotton candy, stuff like that. And I really crave that stuff when I get super tired and fatigued and stressed. Um, and y'all, when I met with her in December, I think it was about a month ago. No, because we've had 3 or 4 visits, and it's 2 weeks apart, so it's probably been 8 weeks maybe. Um, I chucked the kids cereal. I think after the second visit, I finished up what I had in the house, and I haven't bought any since. That creamy device has been my go-to for something sweet, and it has saved my bacon, y'all. Like, highly recommend using it. If you still want sweet stuff and you're trying to find easier ways to eat, like fruit, or basically you can just make your own flavor of ice cream with it. So if you want chocolate ice cream, you could use cocoa powder, you could use, milk or milk substitute, um, a protein powder. So like, you can make your own protein powder type chocolate ice cream. You could make any flavor you want. You can make a sorbet. Um, I really like it. It lets you control if you add Splenda to it, or regular sugar if you want that. Um, you can add protein powders to it. Like, it allows you to add a lot to kind of make your own custom healthier type of ice cream and sorbet, and I love it. Like I said, that's really made a huge difference for me. Um, in terms of, I still crave sweet stuff, but I'm sticking with the fruits that are mixed with, protein powder and stuff. And so far, that and the Bear Bell Creamy Crisp protein bars are really like, and and of course both those things are expensive, and I'm eternally grateful that, as much as aggravating as my job is and as stressful as my job is, that I'm able to utilize those tools and be able to buy those things, because neither are super cheap. But like, both of those have been really good. If I want chocolate or if I want something sweet, I'll go with the Bear Bell bars if I just want a small snack. And then the strawberry kind of chocolate chip thing I save for at the end of the night. It's like my reward for making it through the day, if you will. And so that's been going really well. I moved up to making sure I have 2 fruits and 2 veggies per day. Plus, when I'm blending the fruit in the creamy, it's breaking it down. It's not taking away the fiber, but it's still making it easier on my stomach to digest, because it's not like the regular form of the strawberry or the cherry. It's the blended form of it. So that's also a bonus on that. And I started out slow. I said just 1 fruit, 1 vegetable a day. Just make sure I hit that. Now I've moved up to 2 of each a day. And again, that's been going really well. Been I've dropped a little bit over 8 pounds since I started. Um, the biggest problem is just trying. All I want to do is get on the elliptical or the bike most days for 5 to 7 minutes to just loosen my joints and muscles up. I found in physical therapy that really helped to kind of warm everything up. And if that's all I can do, that's fine. So I've just been trying to do that just to start. And that has not been going great. I'll do a day or two and then it'll get super cold. My joints will ache so bad, or I'll be so fatigued like I can't even do that in a day. And but what I was telling her that's been different this time than previous starts is that even if, I'll do that for a day or two and then it won't happen for a couple days, but then after 2 or 3 days, if I have a day I feel like I can do it, I just climb back on and do it. Before, I would try to set up these goals. Things would get in my way, like life would life. Something would happen to upheaval me after, a couple weeks, and then it would just feel like I was eternally just starting back over. And I would get so frustrated with that I'd start building a routine. Something would happen to mess it all up. And instead of just dealing with it and keeping up with it when I can, I would just abandon it entirely for a couple months until I was ready to try again. Excuse me. This time, if there are a couple days I can't get on the elliptical or the bike, I just deal with it. And then on the day I feel like getting up there, I get up there. And I'm not telling myself it's a restart. I'm just continuing. Like, it's just a continuation. And eventually, the plan is that it'll get to the point that I can do it most days. And then hopefully increase the amount of time slowly over time. But I'm not trying to I said by the end of the month I'd like to be doing it, 5 days a week. So I'll set a goal, but it's not an exorbitant goal. And like, if I can't, no big worry, we'll just look at it for next month. So I felt really good about that. That is something that's been different this time. And if I have a random day where I don't eat 2 vegetables or 2 fruits, I don't get worked up about it. And it's really been just a mind shift. And so my sessions with her have been going really well. She said, "Look, you were doing all the right things, or all the things you should be doing." She said, "I'm super proud of you. You've stayed consistent. The problem right now is that I still have fatigue issues, and it's either either I'm too tired to do anything at all and I'm just extremely run down, or I'm wired and like fidgety, but I'm also still tired. And so then when I try to sleep, I can't sleep, or I can't get good quality rest because I'm so fidgety and wired, right? A lot of times that'll happen if I'm trying to drink enough caffeine to keep me awake during the day to do something, and I try to push it or force it. That's when my body's like, yeah, no, now you're just going to be fidgety and anxious. And now if you give up and go take a nap, you're not going to be able to rest. So ha 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 on you. I've been having a lot of trouble with that. Plus there was a whole thing with my Ambien dose and the fact that they didn't have it in stock, and then they only could give me a lower dose, and I finally got that straightened out, and the last few nights have been better. So grateful for that. Anyway, she said, "I'm doing all the things I should be doing, but obviously it's still not helping my fatigue. It's still not making..." She's like, "I think the issues you're having, you're not going to be able to like eat your way or do anything to more energy. She's like, I don't think it's anything like that. She said, I think it's more something's going on. And she's like, I think it's your thyroid and you should go get that looked at. So when I go see my doctor next month, I'm going to try to get a referral to an endocrinologist so we can take a closer look at my thyroid, because I have a CPAP. I've done all the sleep hygiene stuff. I'm like I said, I'm doing all the things that have been recommended to me for like 10 years, and for some reason right now fatigue is really causing a problem. And she said it could be I am starting the menopause process, which my lady parts aren't quite done with me yet, because I have been ready to scratch everybody's eyes out for the past week, and I have been cramping bad. And just FYI, y'all are lucky you got a video today, because I found out why this morning, and that's all I'll say about that. But yeah, those parts aren't quite done with messing with me yet. My OBGYN said women with PCOS generally feel better after they go through the change. And so I've been kind of looking forward to it. But my body's like, haha, not yet. Joke's on you. So, and this one was the worst one I've had in a while. Like I said, for about a week, I have been like ready to scratch everybody's eyes out. I've been just so moody. And then I started having really bad just cramps and stuff in the middle of the week. I know it's probably TMI, but like, that's the worst I've had in a while. I think I joked to my husband that my body is trying one last time to actually, okay, backstory. For a brief period of time during my first marriage, I've been married, I'm on my third marriage and my last one, no matter what. During my first marriage, there was a small window where I thought I wanted kids, and we were trying to get pregnant. And I knew I had, my family is, even my grandmother, who had 5 or 6 kids, had some fertility issues. So I knew that was genetic. Knew things wasn't happening on the regular, and they were super painful in high school and in college and stuff. The only way I could regulate everything, even when I was at my lowest weight, was BC pills. And so when I was getting ready to go off those, I figured this would be a challenge. So went off those. After about 6 months, a year, nothing was happening. Went to see the OBGYN. I think that's when I officially got diagnosed with the polycystic ovarian syndrome. They found cysts on my ovaries, but they've never, I don't know what they're like now, but at least back then they weren't that big. They did an ultrasound. But basically they found through testing that I wasn't firing off an egg every month like I was supposed to, which is why my periods would be haphazard. And at that point, they just weren't happening at all if I wasn't on a pill. So, after a couple months of that, we tried yellow there. We tried Clomid for a couple months. Then I moved to Tennessee, and the plan was to start them back up when I came down here, but it didn't happen because I finally got some sense in me that was not what I wanted. I wanted a divorce. I was basically, my ex was a good man, but I met him in college before I really had a chance to be on my own. I joke I went from my parents' house to his house because he was a year older than me, and kind of acted like he knew he was worldly, so to speak. And so I really didn't have a chance to be independent, and so I kept doing what I thought everybody else, this is what you're supposed to do as an adult. You're supposed to, my parents want me to go to college and get a degree in computer stuff, so I did that. And then I'm supposed to get married and have 2.5 kids, and for me it was cats, not dogs, but the picket fence American dream type thing. And that was what my parents wanted for me. And that's what I thought I wanted, and that's what my husband wanted. But then I figured out finally in my mid-20s, thank goodness, before that Clomid took, that I didn't really want that. I didn't want kids. I didn't want that typical life. And there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I felt bad for my ex. Thankfully, he got remarried. He has 2 kids. He has that ideal, that kind of ideation life. That's what he has. He seems happy, and I'm happy for him. I really am. Like, I'm not sitting here saying there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, don't get caught up in what everybody else wants for you. Learn what you want. That's very important when you're out on your own. And so I got divorced, and instead of taking time to figure out what I wanted, I fell in with the complete opposite kind of guy in my second marriage, and that is a story for another day. But at that point, the one thing I did know is that I didn't really want kids. There was a brief period of time in my second marriage I thought I wanted one, and again, thank goodness I did not go anywhere with that. But like I said, to this day, I know if there's somebody out there in the universe, they are looking out for me, and they knew I didn't need to be a mom because it just wasn't for me. And I'm so glad that I figured that out before I was in a situation where I was pregnant. So I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if I was living, like if I was by myself and I wasn't married again, I would look at the idea of it, either fostering or adopting an older kid. It's really young kids that I have trouble with, like toddlers and babies. I'm not a baby person. Again, nothing wrong with that. One of my best friends that I went to school with, her daughter she just became a grandmother, and I'm just like, wow, and that's wild. I don't feel old enough to be grandmother age. But then, I mean, she's over the moon. She's thrilled about it, and I'm so happy for her. But like, I look at her grandchild, I'm like, it's a baby. Okay. It's not the same action that I have when I look at a kitten. But we'll just say that. And it's okay. It's just how I was built. It's how I was made. I accept it, and I'm okay with it, and I'm just grateful that I would have made it work. I did have a stepson for a number of years with my second husband. And, even though I didn't really want kids, I treated him like he was my own. And I would have done anything for him, still would. I saw him a couple years ago, which was wild. He was definitely, he had a lot of behavioral issues, which I think also led to me saying, yeah, I joke that I put in 18 years. In those 4 or 5 years I was with them, and I joke I put in my 18 years of time because he had a lot of like oppositional defiant disorder, ADHD. He had a lot of behavioral issues, and my heart goes out. Those people, the parents that have kids that are neurospicy or have sorry, I'm thinking on the gray, have kids that are that just struggle in a world that wants everybody to conform and be quiet and follow rules and this and that, and have kids that struggle with that. Like, my heart really goes out to you. I know a lot of times, sometimes it is the parents don't pay enough attention to their kids, and like, they're not doing enough. But speaking from a perspective of somebody who had to go through a number of daycares because my stepson would act out, and we were taking him to therapy. We were trying medication. We were doing everything we possibly could. My heart really goes out to those parents because I know most of them are trying their best to manage, help their kid who's unique in a world that, embraces conformity to, the kid wants to act different and gets frustrated and acts out, and it's hard to do. And even in the few years that I was a part of his life, he did primarily live with us, so oftentimes I was involved with he did have a IEP and some those types of plans when he did enter into public schooling, but thankfully we had already been putting in the work. But it is a hard thing to manage, and I don't know how people do it. I really worried about when he would get older what it would be like, and I didn't have to go through that for other reasons. It wasn't anything to do with him, because he was a sweet kid, for sure. I really genuinely feel like he was trying, and he had, well, they don't call it that now, but he was what they called back then high functioning autistic, but I don't think they use those terms anymore. So he had a lot of trouble with empathy, with understanding that, you hit a kid with a toy, it hurts them. And like when he gets hit with a toy, he's shocked at how much it hurts. Oh shoot, that was my mid color. Oh well, we'll go back with the darker color. He had a lot of trouble understanding that. And my heart kind of went out to him because I think he genuinely wanted to try to understand, and it was hard for him. And that's why I was saying I have a special place in my heart for parents with kids like that, because I think a lot of times they genuinely want to do well and be well, and people want to label kids as monsters and unfeeling bullies, and sometimes, they want to do well and they just can't, and that's why you try to help them. But sometimes the public school system doesn't offer, they struggle with, teachers and having enough assistants, and through budget cuts and stupid laws that are probably not going to get any better anytime soon, in terms of being able to care for kids that need extra help. So anyway, that went off on a crazy stuff. Anyway, my point being is, after going through that and already being kind of like, I'm not so sure about having my own kids, I was like, yeah, no, we're good. My husband, Brent, he definitely does not want kids. So even at this point, fostering or adoption isn't really an option. If I was by myself, perhaps I would consider, fostering maybe teenagers or something like that. But not right now. So anyway, I say all that to say, so things don't fire off in my system like they're supposed to, which has not been a problem, obviously. I moved from birth control pills to something called Nexplanon, which is an arm implant. This is my second and hopefully last one, because it was every 3 years, but now they've extended it to 5 years, and I'm a bit dubious of that. But anyway, I joke because my mom had infertility issues. She actually had to go through some things to have me, and she thought she couldn't have any more kids, so didn't really worry too much about that until she was 35, and right after she had open heart surgery to fix a hole in her heart, she ended up pregnant with my little brother. We were 12 years apart. So because my mom's body decided to, act right at the last minute late in her life, I am thusly also concerned. Mine is going to try to pull one last joke on me. And so I do worry about that. That's why we're going to keep that device until I know for sure that's over. And thusly, you know way more about me than you probably ever wanted to know. Crazy subject to be on, but you know how it goes with me. We were just about done. This ran long, but that's okay. Yeah, still having trouble with fatigue. I've been wanting to do stuff at least, instead of just disassociating completely, but fatigue's kind of kept that from happening. I'm trying desperately. I know I don't want to be. I get upset when people are completely disconnected from like what's going on in the world. But I also feel like we've reached a point where every day I get online, there's something screaming at me for attention and saying this horrible thing's happening, this horrible thing's happening, this horrible thing's happening, and like I already know things are about to get like worse than they are, and you look around, you look at what's going on right now, and you're like, really? And so I haven't been disconnected from current events, but basically if I see anything about like what's the latest Republican stupid thing they've done that's going to take away more people's rights, and like when I come across videos like that, I just immediately have to swipe or leave or go do something else because I just can't handle any more worry right now. Like I have too much as it is. I can't handle any more mentally if I want to actually be able to get up and function as a human being and work and at least not be in constant despair, which is already a struggle. So I try to stay at least somewhat connected to what's happening, but I also try not to get too deep into it because for my own mental health, I have to do that. And the last thing I'll say is about the TikTok thing. And when I tell you I am so upset over that, and that's been a big thing this month too, I am beyond angry that we're potentially going to lose access to it on the 20th. Like, what the heck? What the heck? This country that prides itself on freedom, individualistic freedom, and freedom of speech, and freedom of people to make their own choices about things and stuff like that. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with our data. It has nothing to do with our privacy. It has to do with the fact that the other companies that have social media that are U.S. companies, I'm not going to say names, but we all know, are greedy. And they don't like it. They don't like not having access to the data from TikTok. And so they're doing this hoping that they'll sell, and they're not going to sell. It would surprise me if they did. And so we're going to lose. I mean, they're going to ban something. They're going to ban access to something in this country. And I truly, truly, y'all, this is the start. This is not going to end with TikTok. It's going to, I've heard it could get to the point that certain books are banned, certain movies and TV shows are banned. This is just a start. This is testing the waters to see what they can get away with. And when I tell you that app has been one of the most beneficial social media apps I've been on, I don't use Instagram. I no longer am on Twitter. I'm on Blue Sky now. And I use Instagram only to really post pictures I barely use Facebook. It's just for family and friends, just to keep up with them, because I don't like those companies. I don't like how they use my data. I'm not worried about TikTok knowing I like cat videos and people dancing. Like, oh no, how dare they have the data on that? Um, but I am worried that, Meta's going to take my data and sell it to the very people, sell it to China, which is the very people that supposedly they are worried about. So just, if they were that worried about our data and our privacy and our security, they would be enacting laws that go across all apps. It wouldn't be just banning an app. So I am beyond incensed about it, and just, yeah. So now that I've gotten all fired up about that, we're going to go ahead. I've said my piece on that. I think this is a control issue. I don't think it's going to stop here. And if it just happens here and we let it happen, I mean, what else can we do at this point, right? Like, apparently we're going to continue to elect people that just won't listen to us, because the ones that were in there, even the supposed Democrats, a number of them voted for this. So can't trust any of them that are in there. They voted most of them back in. So obviously people seem to act like they're okay with people in Washington doing whatever they want, even if they're doing what we don't want them to do. So they're free to do whatever they choose for their own money and their own interest, because I'm sure many of them have shares in the other companies. And so, it's just gonna happen, and this won't be the first, or this won't be the last. It may be the first, but it won't be the last. And maybe something will come out of the Supreme Court thing, but I'm not holding my breath at this point, because it's about control and it's about money. It's not about us and our privacy and security. And we all know this, but apparently they're allowed to do what they want. So people don't seem to care enough to change out who's in Washington. So, and the ones they're moving in are just gonna ban it too, and ban even more stuff. So I don't know what y'all are doing, but we're in the season of FAFO, as they say, and it sucks. But anyway, on that note, all right, so that's my piece. Chucking that to the side. We are finally done with this page, I think. The only things I really did different from the cover here is I kind of did a very light blend. It's a little hard to see here, but here and then here, which if you have enough markers to do a very gradual blend, I think blending will work really well in this paper. It very much surprised me with how it did with the markers. I didn't feel like I had any streakiness. It went on very smooth. I am very pleased with that. Let's see what the other page looks like. So it does bleed through. It is kind of interesting. If I blacked out this, because obviously the text is on the opposite side, it is almost like you colored the page behind it. That is cool. You would just have to, but the cool thing is too, like if I wanted to color this something, it wouldn't show up on the black on this page. So that's interesting. Your only problem would be anything that's white on both sides would obviously bleed through. So if I blacked out this entirely and just made it a black helmet, it wouldn't bleed through there. So I could make those two changes. The only problem would be right there with that gray. But that's pretty cool. I actually kind of like that. Kind of splotchy. It's not splotchy. It's not a way to put it, but it is kind of splotchy. But that is neat. So it does bleed through. Markers definitely bleed through, but if you're only picking one side of the page to color, it's nothing to stress about. So after all that, I am very pleased with this book. I'm excited to really get into it. Like I said, I was a little hesitant because of the paper. Markers have a weird, when it comes to thicker paper, you automatically think, oh yeah, you can blend and markers will do really well on that paper, and you automatically think that. But not, it doesn't always happen in my experience, so I was a little hesitant about that. But now that I've used the markers, they go on very smoothly. I don't see very much splotchiness from the markers at all. And I think if you had any, you could easily layer over to create a smoother look without, or fill in patches without it really making a huge difference, because the surface of this, the thick cardstock and the glossiness of it, the marker is sitting on the paper rather than soaking in. So you have a little more time to do things like blending and stuff, which I really dig. I love like I said, the design of this is really cool. I don't know, I might work in this front to back because I really love this first page. And I don't know, some of these I might do the side that doesn't have the black background. But I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, you're definitely going to see me color in this. Thank you so much to Melissa and the Far Out Color team for providing this book. Like I said, I did receive this book for free. I was not asked to do anything like a flip through or anything. They were just sending it as a gift. I'm the one that chose to put it on here. And if you are interested in this book, they currently have a backer kit. Is that what I said? Backer kit? I think that's right. I'm going to list that down in the description. If it ever comes up for sale anywhere else, I will edit the description there as well. But they have some different pledge levels you can join to back this book. And yeah, it's got like a very soft matte type cover too, with this little bit of glossy. Anyway, very cool. I like this book a lot. Thank you so much to Melissa and them for sending it to me. The blotter page did really well, though I just noticed that you want to make sure it doesn't slide into the crease of the book, because the blotter page really can only sit behind the page itself, or else you might have some bleed over here on the edge. So definitely be sure to do that. But yeah, so that's me babbling as usual. Maybe you needed a distraction today. But yeah, definitely looking forward to getting into this book. I will have some flip throughs of some new releases next week, hopefully next Friday or Saturday. And then I do need to do my Christmas and Black Friday supply haul. I might do that next weekend, depending on how work goes this week and how I feel. All I know is for the rest of this weekend, because I'm recording this on Saturday, I am going to finally watch Wicked. At some point, I'm going to take a nap and hopefully color some more. But right now, I'm going to go get something to eat because I am starving. I hope y'all are doing well, or at the very least surviving. Like I said, maybe having something at the end of each day to be like, hey, I made it through the day. And it's, try to make it as healthy as you can. But some days maybe you just need that bit of cereal or a little bit of wine or what have you. It doesn't necessarily have to be healthy. I'm just trying to do it myself. But I know there will come a time in the future where I will get my beloved. So my favorite one is the Malto Meal Captain Crunch knockoff with the Crunch Berries with marshmallows. That's my absolute favorite thing to eat. And Brent bought me a bag of the marshmallows themselves, like the freeze-dried marshmallows. And when I tell you, that thing is so dangerous. I can't. That's for birthdays and Christmases. Like, when I tell you, that went so quick in my house. At least with the Crunch Berries, there's some cereal with the marshmallows, right? Like I told you, I would eat like, I would have the diet of a 10-year-old if I didn't have to worry about my health. But I mean, at some point in the future, I'm going to want to go to Sonic and get pickle fries, or I'm going to want, it's going to happen. And just as long as I can make it work and stay consistent 80% of the time, and learn, this is all about moderation. It's not trying to find things that work for me and trying to do what's best for my health, but also realizing as long as I, do healthy things 80% of the time, the other 20%, it's okay. This is something I've got to deal with for a lifetime. So, okay. Anyway, I'm going to go. Hope y'all are doing well. Thanks, Melissa and the Far Out Color Team for this book. Thanks for sticking with me today, and I'll talk to y'all soon. Bye for now.